Hey everyone, welcome back. David in History for the Ages. So I want to do kind of another one of these movie reviews. I have a couple I've done in my channel. One on Oppenheimer, which are movies that I absolutely loved, and another one on Napoleon. And both those are more recent movies, and Napoleon I wasn't nearly as crazy about as Oppenheimer. And I know this is an older movie, Gladiator, but it's still pretty popular. A lot of people have seen it. And I'll have to say, I actually love the movie Gladiator. It's one of my favorite kind of history-based movies. It's a historical mess in terms of what they got right and what they got wrong. Now, Napoleon was a historical mess as well. And if you haven't seen my reviews on those, I'll leave the links in the description so you can kind of watch those as well. But I think this was just Gladiator was just a better movie than Napoleon, and just in my personal opinion on it. But in terms of what did they get right, what did they get wrong, if you've seen the movie, if you're curious, just a few things. I'm not going to go through everything, but I'll go through some of the highlights, and then if you have questions, you can leave them in the comments, and I can kind of add to this. But the movie has, of course, is set during the end of what we call the Golden Age of Rome, when you had these what we call five uh, good emperors, and I put good in quotation marks because depending on your perspective, some of them weren't very good. And this is all kind of in the second century AD by now. And there's a Roman emperor named Marcus Aurelius, who, thought himself a philosopher. And, if you read the writings of Marcus Aurelius, he has these kind of ideas of how to live and govern and so forth. But he was not, going to be this emperor guy who's going to change Rome back to a republic. So the whole premise is, Marcus Aurelius, who's an emperor, he has a son who I'll talk about in a second, was going to kind of end the Roman Empire, restore the republic. That was never going to happen. That was just, the empire's been around for a couple hundred years now, almost at this point. Not quite, but pretty close. And there was no way that was going to go back to this whole idea of a republic that existed earlier. He has a son, Commodus. And again, Commodus is a real historical figure, but the movie didn't really capture him well. I mean, it's a great character. Again, I loved watching the movie. I loved how the acting was in that movie. Interestingly enough, Napoleon and this movie, same actor, right? Joaquin Phoenix. And he was great, I thought, in Gladiator. I really loved it. But the character Commodus, they kind of made him as this ambitious guy, power hungry, and all that. He probably was a little bit more less ambitious, a bit more lazy, apparently not too smart from a lot of primary sources that I've read. So, he was not a great guy, right? In the movie, the movie doesn't depict him as a wonderful guy. And he wasn't a wonderful guy, but for very different reasons. They also, of course, in the movie, have him dying in a gladiator fight. That didn't happen either. He will be assassinated. Same thing with Marcus Aurelius. They have the death of Marcus Aurelius with Commodus choking him and all that, and he dies and all that happening. Marcus Aurelius died of natural causes, so that didn't happen either. So then we get to the next character, Maximus, right? And this famous character in the movie. And, the whole deal of this character actually never existed. The character Maximus is probably based on some other historical figures, maybe a general or something I read somewhere. But in terms of this very developed history of this guy Maximus, no, this guy, and there was no way this guy Marcus Aurelius was going to name Maximus as his heir and person taking over the throne while he had a son. If you have your son, the son's going to be the emperor. This idea that he's going to go around his son to make Maximus, who never existed as the emperor, that wasn't going to happen. The battle scenes are great in this movie. They're fun to watch. I enjoyed watching them, and they were accurate in terms of who they were fighting, the Germanic tribes, and all that. But what wasn't accurate is the type of fighting that they did, the siege warfare machinery that was used in open warfare, like the catapults and things like that. They used those things, the Romans, ballistas and catapults and all those things, but not in kind of that open fighting that you see in those scenes. Also, the fighting in the Gladiator games wasn't quite accurate in terms of what they wore, their outfits, the helmets. That again, that was a bit embellished as well. There were a lot of animals involved in the fighting. In fact, I read one account that there were about 5,000 animals slaughtered in a single day in some of these gladiator fights, because that was mainly what you saw a lot of in the gladiator games. If you ever do go to Rome, and visit the Colosseum. Really cool. And you could go inside and you could see kind of underneath the floor of the Colosseum. That was kind of the heart of what was going on. There were things in there. They had elevator system that from beneath, animals would come up and people would fight against them and all of that. So it's pretty cool if you ever get a chance to go see that. I even saw a video once on how they engineered the Colosseum, and I didn't even know this was pretty cool. They apparently were even able to flood it and have little naval battles in the Colosseum too. So that's kind of cool as well. What else? Another part of the movie that's kind of there is the issue of Christianity. And I think in the movie they make it out to be a much larger part of Roman society than it really was at the time. Obviously, Christianity is around, since the year one, but it doesn't really grow and become a big part of Rome until we get closer to the period of the 300s, 4th century. Constantine, Edict of Milan, Battle Milvian Bridge. I actually have a whole video talking about all that. So I think it was a bit, done a little more than what actually existed at the time. So I think you have that there as well. So overall, it's a fun movie. I really liked it, but at least in terms of some of the main characters and some of the things you see in the movie, yes, a lot of the characters are real. Yes, a lot of the kind of historical time period is real, but some of the plot lines and the way you see things, not quite accurate. But still, great movie if you've never seen it. Obviously, not for kids, pretty bloody. But hopefully, kind of this little review helped a bit if you ever watch that movie. And again, if you have questions like, oh, well, I saw that in the movie, is that accurate or not? Drop it in the comments, and I can, kind of probably give you an answer for that. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. Maybe you could go watch my other reviews on Napoleon, Oppenheimer. But that's it. Just something kind of quick here for you all. Everyone have a great day. Thank you for watching, and please share, subscribe, leave comments, all the good stuff. Bye, everyone.